Hey everyone, welcome to a deep dive today into the world of Oliver Nelson. You might know him from Stolen Moments. It's a classic, but trust me, there is so much more to explore with this incredible musician. So today we are going to go way beyond just that one hit to really uncover the depth and breadth of his career. I mean, saxophonist, composer, arranger, band leader, he really did it all, and he left his mark on both jazz and the world of film and TV scoring.
It's amazing how his career was shaped by such a unique blend of experiences. It's almost like a recipe for musical genius.
Okay, so let's unpack that recipe. What were the key ingredients?
Well, first you got to imagine St. Louis in the 1930s. Young Oliver Nelson surrounded by music. His brother played trombone with Cootie Williams, and his sister was a singer and a pianist. So you can see the foundation was there from the beginning. He started piano lessons at 6, picked up the sax at 11. It was a natural progression.
That makes sense, but he didn't just stick to that formal training, did he?
Yeah. No, not at all. And that's what's so interesting is that he really cut his teeth playing in those St. Louis territory bands. Then he even landed a game with Louis Jordan's band from 1950 to 1951. And that was crucial not just for playing, but for arranging and composing. Those skills would really become his signature later on.
So we've got that raw talent and practical experience, but there's got to be another element here, right? Formal education.
Yeah, so this is where it gets really interesting. While he was in the Marine Corps, Nelson heard the Tokyo Philharmonic play Ravel and Hindemith. It was a revelation for him. And this sparked a passion for composition that led him to earn a master's degree and even study with giants like Elliott Carter. So this whole blend of experiences really set him apart.
Talk about a unique path. It all kind of culminates in 1961 with his landmark album, The Blues and the Abstract Truth. Now, everyone knows Stolen Moments, but the entire album is brilliant.
Absolutely. You're right. It's not just a collection of songs. It's like a statement. You have his innovative use of harmony. Plus, that incredible lineup, Eric Dolphy, Freddie Hubbard, Bill Evans, Roy Haynes. These were masters pushing boundaries. It wasn't just a band. It was a gathering of innovators.
So what specifically made this album stand out harmonically? Give us a little taste of why this lineup was so groundbreaking.
Well, his studies with Carter had a profound impact on him. You really hear it in his use of these extended harmonies. It's almost like he's stretching the boundaries of traditional jazz chords. And then this lineup, it wasn't just about star power. You've got Dolphy's avant-garde approach, Hubbard's fiery trumpet, Evans' delicate touch, Haynes' rhythmic mastery. It all blended with Nelson's vision to create something truly unique. They were all pushing the boundaries of jazz in their own ways, and together they created something really special.
Yeah, this makes me want to revisit that album with fresh ears. It's amazing that Stolen Moments wasn't even intended to be the main track.
Exactly, it became a hit.
Yeah.
But it almost overshadows the album's true depth. That's why we're doing this deep dive.
Let's talk about his evolution beyond this album. He releases more blues and the abstract truth and sound pieces. What sets these apart?
Nelson was never one to stand still. So in More Blues, he continued refining his approach to harmony, experimenting with dissonance and those complex chord changes. But in sound pieces, you start to hear him incorporating elements of classical music and even world music. It's like he's constantly seeking new sounds and textures.
So he wasn't just this brilliant composer, he was also this highly sought-after arranger. I mean, working with giants like Cannonball Adderley, Thelonious Monk, Sonny Rollins, Wes Montgomery, that's quite a roster.
It really is. His arrangements were just unique. He brought a fresh perspective, blending his classical training with that deep understanding of jazz improvisation. He wasn't just writing for the instruments, he was writing for the musicians, you know, understanding their individual styles.
Can you give us an example of this unique blend? How did he bring these worlds together?
Take his work with Sonny Rollins on the Elfie soundtrack. He took Rollins' signature sound, that powerful tenor sax, and he wove it into this orchestral setting. And he wasn't afraid to use strings, French horns, even a harpsichord. It was a blend of jazz and cinematic scoring, truly ahead of its time. And he even worked with Quincy Jones. He was so deeply connected within the music world, influencing it in so many ways.
So we have this incredible composer-arranger shaping the sound of jazz. Then in 1967, he makes a bold move. He heads to LA to focus on film and TV scoring. What prompted this shift?
It's like he conquered the jazz world and needed a new challenge.
And conquer he did. I mean, we're talking iconic shows here. Ironside Columbo, the $6 Million Man Night Gallery. Bet you didn't expect Last Tango in Paris on that list.
Right. It just highlights his versatility. And his jazz sensibilities added a unique dimension to his scores, giving them a distinctive energy and edge.
But Nelson wasn't content with just composing and arranging. He also felt this deep responsibility to educate and mentor the next generation. His 1966 book, Patterns for Improvisation, is still a cornerstone of jazz education.
Yeah, it's a remarkable resource, not just because it's so comprehensive, covering scales, chords, modal improvisation, harmonic substitutions, but because of his approach. He breaks down complex musical theory into these clear, concise explanations, making it accessible to those aspiring musicians. He demystified the art of improvisation.
And he didn't stop at the book, did he?
Of course not. He's a passionate educator, leading workshops, clinics, and shaping the next generation at the Washington University Summer Jazz Institute. He was truly dedicated to passing on his knowledge and nurturing young talent. He even influenced members of the World Saxophone Quartet. His impact spanned generations.
It's incredible to think about his dedication to music and its future. It's a shame his career was cut so tragically short, but he achieved so much in such a short time.
It's a bittersweet truth that his relentless work ethic, while it contributed to an incredible body of work, it may have also played a role in his untimely passing at the age of 43.
This makes me wonder,
What's on your mind?
how might the world of jazz be different today if Nelson had had more time? It's a question that lingers.
It certainly does. But even in his short time, he left an indelible mark, influencing generations of musicians.
Yeah.
Yeah, it really makes you appreciate the sheer volume of work he created in those 43 years. I mean, he was a force of nature.
Absolutely. Makes me want to dig even deeper into the blues and the abstract truth. Earlier, you mentioned his, sophisticated harmonies. Can you unpack that for us a bit? What specifically made them so groundbreaking?
Well, think of it this way. He was taking the blues, this, deeply rooted form of American music, and he was filtering it through his understanding of classical composition. He was using extended harmonies, modal scales, things he'd learned from Elliott Carter to create these incredibly rich and complex soundscapes. It wasn't just about playing the blues, it was about exploring the possibilities within that form.
Can you give us like a specific example of this, a musical moment that really showcases this approach?
Sure. Take the track, go down.
Mhm.
It starts with this driving, almost frantic energy, very much in the blues tradition. But listen closely to those chord changes. He's using these unexpected shifts, moving beyond that typical 12-bar blues structure, creating a sense of both tension and release. He's playing with dissonance and chromaticism in a way that was truly innovative for jazz at the time.
Yeah, this really highlights how Nelson was pushing those boundaries of what jazz could be. And you can't talk about that album without mentioning that incredible lineup of musicians. It's like a who's who of jazz greats. Eric Dolphy, Freddie Hubbard, Bill Evans, Roy Haynes. What did each of them bring to the table?
I mean, each musician was a master in their own right, and they all brought their unique voices to the project. Dolphy's alto, sax, and flute added this avant-garde edge, pushing those boundaries of melody and harmony. Then you've got Hubbard's trumpet bringing fire and intensity, while Evans' piano provided this delicate, almost impressionistic counterpoint. And Haynes on drums, well, he was the rhythmic anchor, driving the music forward with his incredible swing and precision.
It's not just star power, it's the synergy between those individual styles that makes this album so special. They weren't just playing Nelson's music, they were collaborating, shaping it with their own creative input.
Exactly. They were all pushing each other to new heights. It was a true meeting of the minds.
Earlier, you mentioned how his later albums, more blues and the abstract truth
Yeah.
and sound pieces, kind of expanded his sound even further. Can you elaborate on that?
Yeah, if the blues and the abstract truth was like a statement of intent, these albums were about exploration and evolution. So in More Blues, he continued to refine his harmonic language. But in sound pieces, you hear him branching out even further, incorporating influences from classical music and world music.
I'm intrigued by this blending of genres. What are some specific examples of this?
Oh, there's a track on sound pieces called Flute Salad that really exemplifies this. It features this beautiful, almost meditative interplay between a flute and a koto, a traditional Japanese instrument. It's not something you typically hear in jazz context. But Nelson makes it work. He creates this seamless blend of Eastern and Western musical traditions. It's a testament to his open-mindedness and his willingness to experiment.
This is what I love about these deep dives, discovering these unexpected layers to an artist's work. We've explored his composing and arranging, but Nelson was also deeply committed to education, wasn't he? His book, Patterns for Improvisation, is still considered a must-read for those aspiring jazz musicians.
It's become a classic for a reason. Not only does it cover a wide range of theoretical concepts, but it does so in a way that's accessible and engaging. He doesn't just lecture you on scales and chords. He invites you to explore them, to experiment, and to find your own voice.
So what specifically makes his approach so effective?
Think back to his own musical journey. He blended formal training with practical experience. And he brought that same approach to his teaching. He understood that learning jazz wasn't just about memorizing theory, it was about developing your ear, your intuition, your ability to improvise in the moment. And he breaks it down in a way that makes even the most complex concepts feel approachable. He demystifies the process of improvisation.
And his dedication to education extended beyond the book. He was actively involved in workshops, clinics, mentoring young musicians, right?
Absolutely. He was like this sought-after clinician traveling all over the country to share his knowledge and passion for jazz. And he was particularly involved with the Washington University Summer Jazz Institute, where he had a chance to really work closely with young musicians, nurturing their talent and inspiring them to push their creative boundaries.
It's inspiring to see how he gave back to the music community, shaping those future generations of jazz musicians. He even influenced members of the World Saxophone Quartet. That's a testament to the breadth of his impact.
His legacy extends far beyond his own recordings and arrangements. He planted seeds that continue to grow and blossom throughout the jazz world.
It's heartbreaking that his career was cut short, but it also makes you appreciate the sheer intensity of his creative output. He seemed determined to make the most of every moment.
He definitely packed a lifetime's worth of achievements into those 43 years.
It makes me wonder how his music might have evolved had he had more time. What directions might he have explored?
That's a question we can only speculate on. But one thing's for sure. His impact on jazz and on music as a whole is undeniable.
And his story serves as a reminder to make the most of our own time, to pursue our passions with the same intensity and dedication that he brought to his music.
Absolutely. Let's take a moment to reflect on that.
Welcome back. We've been on quite a journey exploring Oliver Nelson's incredible career, from his St. Louis roots to his iconic albums, his arranging for, those jazz legends, his move to Hollywood, and even his dedication to educating that next generation. But his story, as we know, ends far too soon.
Yeah, it's true. His untimely passing at 43 is a reminder of how precious time really is.
Yeah.
And it makes his accomplishments all the more impressive.
There's almost this sense of urgency in his music, this drive to create and explore, like almost as if he knew he had a limited time to make his mark.
I think you're picking up on something very real. Knowing the arc of his story adds another layer to how we hear his music.
As we kind of wrap up this deep dive, what are some key takeaways you hope our listener will hold on to about Oliver Nelson's legacy?
For me, it's about the power of breaking down barriers. Nelson's music transcended genres, blending jazz with classical world music, even the sounds of his urban surroundings. He wasn't afraid to experiment to draw inspiration from all these diverse sources.
And he wasn't content with just creating for himself. His arranging work and his dedication to teaching show a genuine desire to share his knowledge and passion with others.
Absolutely. He wasn't just this brilliant musician. He was a generous spirit, always seeking to lift up others. He understood that music is a dialogue, a conversation that spans generations.
So for our listener who's now eager to explore Nelson's work beyond Stolen Moments, where would you recommend they start? What are some essential albums that really capture his essence?
Well, The Blues and the Abstract Truth is a must listen. It's not just a classic album. It's like a manifesto, a declaration of his artistic vision. You hear that innovative use of harmony, the incredible interplay between all those brilliant musicians. It's an experience that transcends any single track.
And what about for those who want to delve deeper into his evolution as a composer?
I'd recommend checking out More Blues and the Abstract Truth. That's where he refines his harmonic language even further. And for a taste of his more experimental side, his willingness to blend genres, Sound Pieces is a fascinating journey. You hear him incorporating those classical and world music influences in a way that's both surprising and seamless.
And we can't forget about his arranging work. There's a whole world to discover there. Hearing his musical voice shaping the sound of other artists.
Exactly. And for anyone interested in learning the art of jazz improvisation, his book Patterns for Improvisation is still as relevant today as it was back in 1966. It's a testament to his deep understanding of the music and his gift for teaching.
Oliver Nelson's story is one of passion, innovation, and a dedication to pushing the boundaries of what music could be. His life may have been cut short, but his impact on the world of jazz and on music as a whole continues to resonate today.
He was a true visionary, and his music deserves to be heard, studied, and celebrated. Hopefully, this deep dive has sparked a curiosity in you to explore his incredible legacy.
So go out there and discover the magic of Oliver Nelson.